before y'all kill me, let me just say I did not make or collect all of this information to disseminate to the public. Real Almighty is the one to blame for that. Now, I do claim to be a Drake stan, but let me tell you something. If somebody else out there who is also an OVO warrior puts together some facts that are undeniable, I feel like it's my due diligence to just let the public do what they will with the information. Right? So, anyways, of course, we're about to get into Drake, the GOAT, maybe owning a percentage of every other artist publishing. And before you say it's conspiracy theory, we have a lot of stats, him and I, because I'm going to preface it with some of the things I want to say. And basically, we're going to put the pieces together like Almighty said. Because let me tell you something, to preface before we get into what he has to say about Drake owning a lot of other people's masters, I want y'all to look up, and this is not free promo, or I mean, technically it is free promo, so it's not promo. But Joe Budden and Larry Jackson had an interview, and if you don't go listen to that, let me tell you, you're not a music. I'm not gonna say music fan because that's a little harsh. But let me tell you, Larry Jackson, for the period of time, has influenced the popular music to the point where if you don't go through Larry Jackson, it's very difficult to reach certain heights. It's a reason why you look up Larry Jackson, you look at his status in the industry as far as his actual professional titles, and you realize that this man is in a league of his own. Because I don't think y'all understand. This is the owner. We're not going to get into that just yet, but let me just say, Larry Jackson has had a hand in a lot of publishing deals. Let's just say that. So anyways, starting off with Drake. Drake is a part of OVO Sound Label, of course. And one of the biggest thing about Drake is he started off in 2012 as far as the OVO label, along with Noah 40 and Oliver. And we're just gonna call him Oliver because I don't know what the last name is. Not trying to be funny. And then OVO stands for October Very Own. I don't know why I had to, preface that, but I guess if there's no Drake fans out there, which if you're a Kendrick fan, then let me just say, I mean, technically you're welcome. I mean, I guess, right? No, so with that being said, I think the biggest thing is for you to know that Party Next Door, Majid Jordan, Roy Woods, Division, Baka Not Nice, Popcorn, Smiley, and Naomi Sharon are all part of that label. The funny thing with that is, as a Drake stan, I'm also a critic at the end of the day. So I guess I'm not too much of a stan. But how many of those appearances from Drake have you seen on any of these OVO artists in the past 2 to 3 years besides Party Next Door? My point exactly. So anyways, let's keep going. He's not making money off his own artists under his label. They're basically just there to write music for him and make him even richer. So that out of the way, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, if somebody wants to be a writer, which personally, if that was a job for itself to be a writer for someone and get paid like 100, 200, 300,000 salary yearly, I mean, at that point, I'll be a ghostwriter. You know what I'm saying? But for some people, they prefer to be the one on the forefront getting the praise for their creativity, which I think getting praise from the right people is important. But for the public who really don't know too much, it really doesn't matter. So anyways, Drake currently owns his master recordings of his entire music catalog. And why would that be a big deal? Because this includes licensing, distribution, re-releases, anything he wants. Back in 2022, signed an unthinkable deal of over 400 million. And this is like from industry people. This is like from insiders. You know how Woj and Shams, it's like from them, of the hip hop industry. Described it to be over 400 million and one of the biggest music deals in history, comparing the deal to when Michael Jackson signed to Sony that was valued over about like 250 million. And obviously that was a lot of money back then because inflation and stuff. You gotta keep that in mind. But so yeah, Drake signed one of the greatest deals ever in music. So with that being said, comes a lot of vitriol and hatred, which is what you're seeing now with the Kendrick, teaming up like the Avengers, but everybody giving the credit to Kendrick. So I'm gonna try not to be too much of a Drake stan. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, Drake is under Republic. No. He's under UMG, like I just said. But the thing with that is that he also is supposedly an owner, a partner, I should say, of Gamma. If you don't know, Gamma is under UMG with more creative vision, I would say, because Larry Jackson is at the helm. So I'm pretty confident saying that they have better creative vision. And they have signed artists like The Weeknd, Rick Ross, Nav, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar. Keep in mind all those names I just listed out, right? Who's been going at Drake and teaming up to go at Drake. They're all under Gamma, not UMG, the subdivision of Gamma. No. They're not under UMG. They're under Gamma, which is a subdivision of UMG. So it's not even a broad scope because UMG has a lot of subdivisions. They're under the same subdivision that's reportedly given Drake certain ownership rights as far as percentage deals from other artists. But anyways, let's keep going. So those are the artists, right? There's a lot more, but those are the ones I want to focus on. So then you have Drake from his mixtape days, talking about owning his masters and securing major deals. But the thing that happened was that Drake started to rap about having a slice of the pie, right? He stopped rapping about splits or bags up front. He started talking about having equity and started talking about how, I need a percentage of that instead of just a fee. Because let me go. Okay, one of the Drake tracks, I forget what it was called. It wasn't part of. Let's see if I can find it. I think it was Lemon Pepper Freestyle. Let me see. Lemmer. What in the world? What is that? Lemon Pepper Freestyle. All right. I don't know what flavor lemmer is. Y'all look that up and let me find out. I was like, what in the world? All right. So here we go. Lemon Pepper Freestyle. I think he rapped about it. He did. Wait, hold up. Is this the right one? Hold up, I'm typing. He did. Okay, cool. All right. So Drake on Lemon Pepper Freestyle, as you can see right here, Analytic Dreamz video on Spotify to see the video along with the audio. But basically, so Drake said 360 up front, it all comes full circle, talking about his previous deals. Class photographs, Sandy had me on my Urkel. Patty Mahomes about to fall short a couple hundred. Signed, sealed, delivered. I messed, it's a PG podcast, so I'll take out the cuss words. I messed up the notary public. She witnessed me sign off on some undeniable numbers. Yeah, I make a set sale in Croatia to get the leverage. Groundskeeper cutting the grass and clipping the hedges. I took 2 mil out the cage in the desert. And then he kept going. I think he's talking about. Okay, so the full circle lines is basically what I wanted to talk about. So the whole 360 up front, it all comes full circle, is more of a hint at his deal and what's all in encapsulated in it. As far as a 360 what it does mean for Drake, touring, dropping music, merch, everything comes back to him. That's what 360 deal means. Like everything your brand brings as far as face value, you get profits off of, instead of the label trying to recoup off of the front they gave you for the 360 deal, right? Usually labels give artists who are up and coming 360 deals so they can recoup. Drake's obviously going to recoup solely off of the music, so he gets more of a leash when it comes to earning from other venues, because they're not as pressed about making their return on investment, because they are going to. So anyways, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, but that's not the biggest, point I was talking about. So I'm just saying that Drake has rapped about it before. He's always given us hints at his deal. You just got to put the pieces together, because I don't know if y'all know, but I mean, you have to sign an NDA for these type of deals. You can, even Larry Jackson said he can't disclose certain information when talking about deals, because he spoke on Four Bats, spoke on Sexy Red. Really insightful interview. I can't promote that Joe Budden, Larry Jackson interview enough. But basically, he really got into the crucible of how deals are made and how they're performed or how they're executed. He kind of talked from like an ownership perspective. Usually people hype up these celebrities in the music industry and they're just the players. Larry Jackson is an owner, to put it in perspective, which is why you should watch that interview, because he really gives it up. Masterful interview by Joe Budden. And I think it's on his Patreon. I don't know when he's going to put it on YouTube. But anyways, so yeah, he sparked that theory with Drake getting splits from all the UMG artists, and I already listed off the roster as far as under Gamma, because if you don't know, I said Rick Ross under Gamma, Nav is under UMG, Weeknd's under UMG, Metro's under UMG, Kendrick's under UMG. Like, think about what I'm saying here. You know what I mean? It's a very interesting list I'm talking about. And then Gamma is owned by Larry Jackson. If you listen to the interview, he basically talked like Drake was a partner of Gamma. It wasn't like, oh, we went out and signed him. Drake helped him create Gamma. What does that sound like? Anyways, it's reported that Drake is supposed to cultivate talent for Gamma, which is why Sexy Red being under Gamma makes so much sense, because Drake can't stop being seen with Sexy Red. You think it's just because he's trying to pop what with her, like Kendrick alluded to, but it's literally because Drake makes money off of Sexy Red being successful. So anyways, and another thing I wanted to point at is that most of the artists on Gamma, Drake has promoted. Because why in the world would Drake promote a Rick Ross and Meek Mill album, as you can see right here? Why would he promote this? What is the reason to promote a Rick Ross and Meek Mill album if you're Drake? Think about it. Like, really think about it. What is the reason to promote a Meek Mill and Rick Ross album that you're not even on? Drake hardly promotes his own music, and he's out here promoting what seemingly is just random artists off the strength. I know what y'all saying. Oh, it's Rick Ross and Meek Mill. Meek Mill just finished selling 6,000 copies first week. Like first week, very first week. This album with Rick Ross's and Meek Mill's fan base combined did about 30,000 first week. Obviously, I may be off a little bit. It may be higher, like 36, 40,000. Anyways, combining two fan bases like Meek Mill and Rick Ross, it was not to the point where Drake had to be like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, he was promoting this for a reason. So, with Ross partnering in Gamma back in September 2023, and then his collab album with Meek Mill coming a month later, it adds credence to the case that Drake owns or split off of the artist under Gamma's music. And when I'm gonna keep going back to the Joe Budden and Larry Jackson, the only reason I think this conspiracy holds weight is because Larry Jackson never said no. The way he answered the question was in a way of, I can't talk about clients' deals, but what I can do is break down how Gamma was created. It was a very masterful smoke and mirrors way of saying Drake is a partner. Well, what do partners usually get if they helped create a company? Anyways, let's keep going. So Drake throughout the years is seemingly poking fun at having splits on these rappers under UMG, talking about how you need to drop and give me 50, which comes back to a whole line you think it was directed at Kendrick. But really, if you think about it, now it makes sense why he said the whole drop and give me 50, because it's not only attributed to Kendrick, but Rick Ross, The Weeknd, Metro Boomin, who are all under UMG. Which is why Drake actually keeps comparing him to Michael Jackson when he said on one of his tracks, the man I see in the mirror is actually my reflection, or something like that, talking about Michael Jackson. Like, he said so much stuff about Michael Jackson, talking about being the Michael Jackson of hip hop, right? People just think it's because of analytical stats that he's putting up on Billboard. If you think about it, Michael Jackson bought the ATV catalog back in 1985. He not only acquired the rights to the Beatles, but also to Elvis, Bruce Springsteen, Rolling Stones, Cher and Little Richard, amongst other various artists. So, comes back to why Drake would keep comparing himself to Michael Jackson. So, anyways, that's basically it. I mean, the full details will never be released. At the end of the day, you could just say this as speculative, which, you wouldn't be wrong. It's definitely speculative. But I wanted to put forth some type of facts, some type of information, and let y'all do of it what y'all will. Because at the end of the day, I think the Joe Budden Larry Jackson interview was so, and I would play it, but it's Patreon stuff, so probably get taken down if I play it on Spotify. But that interview was so telling, because he was literally asked that question to his face, being the owner of Gamma, who signed these artists, because he used to be part of UMG, so don't get twisted. He still has ties under UMG too. It's not like he just left the company. And he just went into a story on how Drake was the only one who believed in him when he was creating Gamma. Very interesting. That's the only reason I'm giving this whole conspiracy theory any light, because at the end of the day, this is just insane if it's true, and makes so much sense why people would team up to get that one man at the top making earnings off of everybody below him out the game. Makes sense why the Metro album consists of The Weeknd, consists of Kendrick, consists of who else? I think Future. I don't think Future's under UMG. Yeah, I don't think Future is. Maybe he is. I don't know. I gotta look that up. Let me see. I think he's under another label. But anyways, it just makes sense why all these artists are teaming up to get at Drake, because they've probably been holding this back for quite some time. Because mind you, I know people be like, "Oh, 2 years is a long time. Why not just do it in 2022?" I mean, it takes time to plot these type of maneuvers. If you ever play, I mean, just the game of life in general, it takes time for things to come to fruition. And he only signed this monumental deal back in 2022, and now I think we're seeing the repercussions of it. Um, so yeah. If you go to the two albums by Future Metro, is Republic Records, a division of UMG Recordings. Everything under Universal Music Group is seemingly all, as far as a certain amount of proceeds, is given back to Drake for the reasons I just stated. So that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. Do you think I'm just straight up tripping? Or do you think that I'm on to something? Well, and Almighty, I don't want to leave him out. The Real Almighty, make sure to follow him on Twitter. But do you think we're tripping as Drake fans pointing this out, or do you think we're on to something with Drake owning a percentage of every Universal Music Group artist?